So, Dunkirk. Its most recent released film. It was released on July 21st, 2017. So what? Around 2 to 3 years ago. But yeah. Like overall opinion on the film, really great. Is it his best film? No. Is it his worst film? No. So if you were paying attention to my show and you were kind of catching the Chris Nolan scale between really good and absolutely phenomenal, it kind of lies somewhere in the middle. So it's like pretty great. It's pretty amazing. And I honestly wouldn't describe Dunkirk. I mean, it is a film. It's a spectacular film, but I wouldn't really categorize it as a film. It's more of an experience. Especially I was lucky enough to see this in the movie theater, and wow, with the surround sound, the great picture quality. All of his films are made to be seen in the theater. Excuse me, I'm burping a lot. I don't know. I just had an energy drink earlier, so that's probably what's happening. I just ate dinner. But anyway, let's read the synopsis on IMDb of Dunkirk. Allied soldiers from Belgium, the British Empire, and France are surrounded by the German army and evacuated during a fierce battle in World War II. So if you don't really know anything about the Dunkirk battle or incident, I'd suggest reading up on it. It's highly interesting. So these Allied forces, they were basically being driven out of France in late May of 1940, and so they were driven out to the beaches of Dunkirk, which is in France. And since these beaches were a little too shallow for the destroyers, like those big army ships, they had to basically do one at a time, or just get these smaller boats. Where you see in the film, they actually requisitioned some civilian boats to go and pick, the soldiers up from these beaches. And these soldiers just had to wait on the beach for them to get evacuated, while these German planes would continuously dive bomb them constantly. So if you really think about it, just being stuck on a beach with no air cover and airplanes are shooting at you, holy shit, it's pretty fucking scary. And I think Christopher Nolan does an incredible job of encapsulating and embodying that fear and that instinct of just do anything to survive into a film, and it makes you, the audience member, experience that. And yeah, he does it to a T. But with that, there's really not any story. I mean, the way Nolan tells the story is incredibly unique and different, where he kind of shows three different perspectives: the air, land, and sea, and also different timelines of the same event. So three different perspectives at different points in time of the Dunkirk incident, and you see when they connect and overlap in timelines, when they kind of interact and intertwine with each other. It's really cool. I mean, there's really not much to spoil with the film, because there's really not much of a story other than just survive. I mean, sorry, I'm burping again. You're gonna get that on this podcast. I am just absolute slob. Sorry. Let me drink another swig of my water. But yeah, on all fronts, every single different perspective is extremely intense in its own way, and it's overlapped with this incredible score by Hans Zimmer, who's one of the best musical film composers working. He probably is the best working today. I mean, John Williams was always that guy. He was that guy. And I think now Hans Zimmer has become that guy. He's yeah, Hans Zimmer, can you come just score my film, because it's gonna be great, and you're the best. So yeah, he works with the best directors. But Yeah, and his score, it's like this ticking clock constantly, which like just lets you not be able to breathe the entire film, and just like you just don't really know what's gonna happen next, but like something is coming because of this constant ticking of the clock score that's always has you on edge, and it always has your heart beating fast, and you're like, holy crap, like what the fuck's gonna happen, you know? But anyway, so because it's such an experience, it kind of takes away from the story and the characters, so there's really not, you don't know anything about these characters, like, at all. There's nothing about them that's interesting. No one really has an arc of sorts, you know? Like, the most characters being done is just one of the civilians on the boat going towards Dunkirk to try to save these guys who are on these beaches. That's the most character. There's really no, like, heroics being done other than maybe Fallon, who's the pilot, one of the British pilots in one of the three perspectives. He does some incredible heroics. You know what? Fighter pilots, like, wow, like, you gotta be a special type of person to be doing that. You know, you're flying over just ocean, and you go down, there's, like, no guarantee that you're gonna be picked up. Like, you just go down in the middle of the ocean. One, there's no guarantee that you're gonna survive, and two, there's no guarantee that you're going to be picked up by anyone. So you're just going to be out there. Like, that's incredibly scary in itself. But yeah, so again, the characters are not strong, and there's really no story. So that kind of made it kind of receive some unfair criticism, in my opinion. I mean, mainly by just the general audience. I mean, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes scores of this film, the tomato meter has it at 93% certified fresh, which is an incredibly good score. It's out of 100%, 0 to 100. I think you have to be below 60% to be a rotten score. So it's at 93, so it's pretty goddamn high. And like the entire total count of reviewers is 440. So critics loved it, but the audience score was 81% out of like around 70,000 reviews from the audience, from users. So around 81%. That differential is like a 12% differential. That's decently, I mean, it's not the biggest I've seen, but it's still, 81% is like just good, I would think, on Rotten Tomatoes. And like if you're like near 90s, like that's spectacular. I honestly think the problem there with the general audience is they were expecting another Saving Private Ryan. You know, like it was kind of advertised as sort of like the next Saving Private Ryan, and if you have been following Christopher Nolan's career, he's kind of following a Steven Spielberg-esque type of career path where he's dipping his feet in all these different types of genres. Like, you know, let's do sci-fi, let's do comic book hero, let's do war film, let's do sci-fi film and Interstellar, you know, like let's do all these different genres and show my versatility because I'm like the greatest, which is awesome. I want him to do that. But you know, if you know anything about Steven Spielberg, he did Saving Private Ryan, which in my opinion is possibly my favorite war film of all time. God, I keep burping. I'm sorry, it's ruining the episode. Absolutely ruining this episode. I am not watching Nerd Out Sanctuary anymore because the host keeps burping. Fuck that burper dude. Stupid. I know. What's wrong with me, guys? What's wrong with me? Anyway, staying on target here with Dunkirk. You know, I think the film received some unfair criticism because it's being compared to one of the greatest not only one of the greatest films, one of the greatest war films of all time. In my opinion, the greatest war film of all time, especially World War II films. But I mean, I think you can't really compare it. You can't compare the two because they're both so different. You know, one's an actual film with actual like, you know, like actors acting in a film. Like there's no like, oh, I'm an English teacher type of moment. If you know, don't know that, if you've never seen Saving Private Ryan, you know, there's a huge there's a big scene between actors where, you know, Tom Hanks' character talks about what he used to do before the war. And that's a really big moment. That's a big acting moment. There's really none of that in Dunkirk. There's no time for that in Dunkirk, which like you feel, which what makes Dunkirk so special and such a special experience that I would highly recommend. Just touching on a few other things about Dunkirk. I already talked about the land, air, and sea perspectives. I mean, it just makes you, the whole film just makes you so engaged, and like you're just really living vicariously through these characters, which makes you almost fear for your life while just sitting in a fucking theater. You're like, you know what? Like, I might be bombed by Germans right now. This film is making me feel like I'm sitting on a beach about to be gunned down by German airplanes, and there's nothing I can fucking do about it. You know? And that's so scary. That's so scary. But yeah, aviation scenes, the dogfighting scenes are really intense. Just way they're shot, it seems like they're actually dogfighting for real. Like just the practical effects, the practicality of I mean, that's just Christopher Nolan. That's just his thing. Like, let's just use as little CGI as possible. You know, it makes the film so much more visceral and realistic, and just intensity, man. Just the intensity of the film is just crazy. Move the mic a little bit closer to me a little bit so I not hit it, so not getting those audio spikes all over the place. But yeah, the German Stukas, man, which are the German airplanes, like when they come down and they have that like Stuka like siren, like like I don't, it's just so. It's so scary. It's so fucking scary. Like they're like all these like guys are just like looking up like one by one, and then they all look up and then just take cover. And it's like, oh god, dude. Like I can't imagine. I can't even fucking imagine that, man. That's scary. But yeah, overall, does Dunkirk have the magic? Does it have Mikey's movie magic? Does it got the magic? Hell yes. It does. It absolutely does. I mean, I would say every single Chris Nolan movie has the movie magic for sure. Some more than others, and I would probably rank Dunkirk higher than Interstellar, higher than Dark Knight Rises, but like lower than movies like The Prestige and Memento and Inception and The Dark Knight. Some of these like really good, like those are really good movies, and I think Dunkirk is just kind of like a step down from there. It's just like it doesn't have that story and it doesn't have those characters that make a film like really special, but it's an experience. It is an absolute experience, and I implore you to go see it. Go see all of Christopher Nolan's movies, and hopefully you see Tenet when it comes out, because that shit's gonna be good.